All right, brother man. Today, we're going to have a battle, a showdown. Top 5 action stars from the 80s and 90s. Fight night. Your 5 versus my 5. Let's go.
I accept your challenge and be prepared to lose.
So put yourself to the test, be the best of the best.
I cannot wait to see how my number 5 kicks your butt.
All right. Well, straight out of the gate, you're gonna regret saying those words. Straight out of the gate, number 5, Bruce frickin' Lee is my number 5.
Ah, the dragon.
I loved watching Enter the Dragon. Probably was the first Bruce Lee movie that I saw, where especially there's so many fight scenes in it. There were so many villains in it too that he faced, but I can't, for some reason, I'm drawing a blank as to what the main guy was that held the tournament. But like their fight scene in the room of mirrors where he's got the Wolverine claws. Yeah, that was sick. So you started off with some pretty bold fighting words. Who's your number 5?
That's a strong start. I mean, Bruce Lee, I had back in the VHS days, I had the Enter the Dragon, it was a 2 VHS box set, which sounds weird to say, but it was this red casing on the outside, had that dragon emblem. I mean, Bruce Lee, you talked about that mirror scene. I still flash back to that, and he had the marks on his body.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the rare times where you're just like, does he have this? What's going on in this movie here? Strong start, Bruce Lee. I will roundhouse kick your number 5 though with a guy named Philip Ree.
Oh,
and
okay.
I reference him because we've talked about our love for martial arts in our last episode. Philip Ree though, growing up, the movie that resonated with me was not Best of the Best. Don't hate me. It was Best of the Best 2.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I say that is because that actually was more of a action-based movie to me. There was kind of larger than life characters, a real one good guy versus a real one bad guy. It wasn't about the team sport or anything. I mean, people were getting killed. There was fire. Wayne Newton was in it.
Baracus.
It was wild.
Baracus is the bad guy. Yeah. So number 4 for me is JeanClaude Van Damme. And the reason why he moved up in the rankings for me is because I was thinking about it from the standpoint of what I watched a ton as a child, and JeanClaude Van Damme, especially in the 90s. I think it was the late 80s with the start of Bloodsport, but in the 90s, he has this long filmography, just like a very extended period of just like pretty big action film after action film after action film. So, with like Bloodsport was one of the first ones, and then like Kickboxer, Universal Soldier with Dolph Lundgren, Sudden Death, where he's like, I think he's a firefighter watching a hockey game. Did you ever see that? He's watching a hockey game. But this is typical 90s action of a simple but ridiculous plotline. He's a firefighter, goes to a hockey game, finds out there's a bomb in the arena, and within the hockey game, before the buzzer sounds, he has to defuse the bomb and kill the villain or everybody dies. That's the whole premise of it.
This is where Michael Scott got his idea from The Office.
It's threat level midnight. Yeah, it's straight up. It's threat level midnight. Like he's stealing it from Sudden Death. I highly recommend watching that.
I'm gonna break away from the martial arts with my number 4. And again, my list was like a lot of erasing, a lot of adding, a lot of remembering. But my number 4 is Will Smith. One movie I remember we all watched so much was Men in Black.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Then you've got other movies like Independence Day, Enemy of the State. Men in Black, though, was so fun and just very cool. Now, Tommy Lee Jones is cool, but Will Smith was the man. He was cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think he even says, like, I make this look so much better than you.
Yeah. I think he puts his glasses on and he's like, he puts his suit on for the first time and is like, yeah, I think it is, I make this look good or something like that. Yeah.
There you go. And they're wearing the same thing.
So yeah, we'll move on to 3. My third one, and I kind of touched base a little bit earlier, let the cat out of the bag with JCVD, is that Chuck Norris was an absolute icon to me. And I feel like you and I have talked about it before. One of the staple films of Chuck Norris when I was a kid was Sidekicks.
Has to be.
Who, I mean, my goodness, just like to be a kid and watch this, especially you doing martial arts and me doing martial arts as kids. Could you imagine seeing Chuck Norris at a tournament, let alone come up to you and say, hey, you want to be on a team with me?
Yeah,
like,
get to partner with him.
Oh my goodness. Like it was such a simple premise, but I watched that religiously as a kid. Like Sidekicks was a really big one.
I think though, my number 3 has an edge.
Oh, over Chuck Norris? Let's hear what this is.
Harrison Ford.
Oh, come on. An edge in what way?
He had a whip.
Yeah, he had a whip. That's true. So he could flee. He could flee from Chuck
He
Norris.
could swing away.
Swing away and grab a branch and just bail right out. I'll give it to you though. Harrison Ford, when it comes to filmography, beats out Chuck Norris all the way. So I'm curious. Yeah, let's hear your Harrison Ford reasoning.
Yeah, I think of like the name at the top of the poster, Harrison Ford. He was Indiana Jones. He was Han Solo. He was Jack Ryan. So many different types of these larger than life action heroes. I put him on my list because of just the memories I had as a kid of wanting to be like him so much in Indiana Jones. So yeah, he's my 3rd.
My number 2, and I'll stand by it, is Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone, I feel like he's one of those guys that when you look at the fact that he is not only Rocky, he's Rambo. And he has done so many different things too when it comes to like Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd was an awesome like kind of first comic book, like an early comic book action film that he did and was just like a very over the top and inflated action star, which was kind of cool to see him in.
Now, when we talk about the Rocky films, I'm going to throw my number 2 though in the ring with Sylvester Stallone.
Okay. All right.
Jackie Chan.
Oh, Jackie Chan would hand him his ass. Oh my goodness. Sorry, Stallone. Mr. Stallone, I'm super sorry. But Jackie Chan would definitely take you to school if it was a hand-to-hand combat. And honestly, with as upstanding as Stallone seems to be as a person, he would probably admit that himself.
Yes.
Jackie Chan. Yeah, I love Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan's so great.
You and I are both wrestling fans. We could have a triple threat between Philip Ree, Bruce Lee, and Jackie Chan.
Oh my goodness.
Man alive.
I feel like if you got a ladder involved, Jackie Chan would win in a heartbeat.
That's actually in my notes.
You give him a chair or a ladder in this triple threat match, he's going to dominate.
Yeah, some kind of landscaping tool, and he's going to win,
We never saw fight scenes like that in any.
The stunts he would pull.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts.
And then I read something too, like the filming and editing was different than other martial arts or action-based movies. The way they did it, you couldn't keep your eyes off what was happening on the screen based on the way they shot the scene. I thought that was really cool.
I guess to unveil my number 1, the cream of the crop, the person that I watched religiously as a kid and just connected with me in a way that these other 4 action stars also connected with me similarly, but not like this man, is none other than the Austrian oak, Arnold Schwarzenegger. 7-time Mr. Olympia, like Mr. Universe, like the Governator, like the Terminator. Like this guy is an absolute icon. Not the greatest actor on the planet, Mr. Schwarzenegger. I'm sorry to admit that, but you are still an icon. And the films...
Arnold, if you're listening, Mr. Arnold, Mr. Schwarzenegger, I'll give you his address.
Please come over. It doesn't matter if it's a good visit or a bad visit. I'll freak out if Arnold Schwarzenegger's at my door. But yeah, I think like a lot of kids of the 80s and 90s, Terminator 2 is such an iconic film. And I feel like, weirdly, I don't think I, as a kid, saw the first Terminator because it was a little too dark and kind of creepy and adult. Yeah, yes. Very adult. And so I think I was introduced to Arnold probably in Terminator 2. And having him saving a young boy that was a similar age to me in John Connor is why that connected so much. Looking at how big he was and his stature and all that sort of stuff, like not only was his voice iconic, his stature was iconic, his films were iconic. Like he was just so well-rounded as the epitome of an action star icon. So yeah, that's my number one.
Yeah, I think what I liked about our list is they are different, but my number one is also Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the man. You know, you talked. It has to be, right?
It does.
You talked about Terminator 2, which to me is, I think, to both of us, like the gold standard. Mm-hmm. Predator. You mentioned Running Man, Commando, Kindergarten Cop, True Lies. I mean, there's so many. I'm going to single out one though that I do remember rewatching just a ton, and it was Last Action Hero. And you did mention that as well. I love that movie because as a kid, I didn't realize it, but there were so many like references to other action movies, especially the ones he was in.
Yeah, and he poked fun at Stallone in a few of them too. Yeah,
when he says, Stallone's on the poster for T2, and he's like, that was his best role. He's so happy for him. I just love that. And you're right, another situation where Arnie's taking care of a kid, and I think we all wanted to be that kid while wanting to be Arnie as well.